was very encouraged to be strong and to not be emotional. Ended up taking me to a place in my life where it was finally time for me to feel, and my system did not know how to go there. It just resulted in high stress in my nervous system, and I could no longer access the parasympathetic. It was completely gone. I forgot how to be there entirely.
You kind of have to white knuckle it and get through it, but
yeah,
I think that's what leads people like you and me to do this work, where we don't want other people to do it alone.
Actually, my work is some of what got me through it. I had just been through so much insane trauma, and sometimes that's the response. I just need to dump this. I need to open up about this. And so that's what I was doing.
How the hell did you come back from that? What brought you back? Welcome back to the I Wish You Knew podcast. I'm your host, Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. And with me today is a very, very special guest, my special hand-trained certified attachment coach, Alyssa. Alyssa has joined my team to help me reach my goal of helping 1 billion people build secure attachment around the world. She's one of the few people I have trusted to step into this role, one of the very few people on the planet that I knew was qualified to join me in this pursuit. I know many more people will join us after this, Alyssa, but I'm very, very glad that you were the first. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I want people out there to get to know you as well as we do, and to love you as much as we do, and frankly, to trust you so that they can jump in. A lot of people, they've been seeing me for years, and they're like, Adam, we know Adam. He'll fix it, and we can trust him. But and rightly so. People come in and they're a little nervous that somebody else might not be the same as Adam.
Right.
And frankly, no one can be the same as Adam. And I'm grateful for that, because no one needs to be. What we need is a range of people who are prepared to help everybody out there. I know that you have a wonderful, wonderful niche of people that you can help. You have a beautiful array of skills. Your pedigree is absolutely unimpeachable, and your training has been fantastic.
Thank you so much.
That's the reason I dragged you on board.
Yeah.
It's the reason we brought you in, and the reason that I'm eager to work with you for the next 10, 20, 50 years. So can you tell us a little bit, please, about your prior training, prior to me scooping you up and bringing you here? What were you doing?
So prior training, I have clinical training in psychotherapy. I specialized in my history in supporting families and children and couples and adults, teens, literally everyone, all ages, all types of groups, on trauma and attachment. The way that I work was very nervous system based. So it was really teaching people about the nervous system and how to work with the nervous system so that they can feel more empowered and more regulated in life, whether that was a child, an adult, or a couple. So that's maybe the synopsis that I would provide for it.
I love that. You and I had the same dual specialties, severe trauma and attachment. Where we really split apart, and I'm actually very excited about our split, is you focused into the nervous system so much more than I did. That's something I came to late in the game. I actually came to that much later in the last few years, really, as I've been gathering information, working with leading experts in the field on it. It's something I've learned a lot more recently. Prior to that, my focus training was more solution-focused, emotion-focused couples therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, the tracking programs, things like that. You grew up inside the nervous system work, and that's fantastic.
Inside the nervous system.
And that's inside the nervous system. And that's where my work and so much in our company now and our brand has gone, is to focus not solely on the nervous system, but largely on those neurochemicals, the nervous system itself, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic. And you are perfectly poised to take over a lot of that work in places that even prior to this, that I hadn't had that training that you have had. Now I'm curious, what is it about you and your life that brought you back into attachment, where you were curious about it? Because it's not something people talk about. It's not something at all that people have talked about.
It's a secret.
It was a secret. Prior to a couple years ago, we started blowing up on the internet. I got thousands of videos, and then, of course, everyone and their grandma started becoming an attachment specialist online all of a sudden after we made it popular on TikTok. But what brought you to this journey? What brought you to attachment?
So actually, some of it had to do with my clinical training. I was fortunate to have some wonderful mentors who were already trained in some attachment-based clinical therapy modalities, and they encouraged me to take that path and get that training. So that was a pretty easy step in. And since then, it's just been a constant growth process of learning more about attachment and experiencing that development on my own, and working that in my relationships, and then also coming across the plethora of information online and trying to figure out how to synthesize everything because there's different opinions about what even is happening in attachment. For example, what we're teaching is actually slightly different than what I was trained in clinically, but I am fully on board with what we teach and fully believe it.
Hey guys, just pause for a second. I know that here on this program, we talk a lot about attachment issues and about fixing them and how great that feels. But I know that a lot of you in the comment sections have told me that you feel overwhelmed and intimidated at the idea of trying to go through and fix your attachment challenges. Some of you are in relationships and you don't know how to help your partner repair their attachment, share their feelings, and be more connected to you in a productive and loving way. For those of you out there who are struggling, I want you to know that we offer a special program designed to work with you on a strict schedule, even if you only have an hour a week. The Attachment Repair Program is designed to help us, all of us certified attachment specialists inside the program, walk with you through your journey on a measured step-by-step process for fixing your attachment issues. This is great for individuals or for couples who are wanting to overcome their attachment issues and never be haunted by those problems ever again. So if you're afraid of rejection, if it's hard to share your needs, and if you're feeling stuck and nothing else has worked, join the Attachment Repair Program today, and let's work together on building a great relationship for the rest of your life. Did you have attachment issues growing up?
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're very guarded about that, so I can guess what it is, but what attachment style did you have growing up?
I had avoidant attachment. I did.
You know, there's been a lot of talk in the recent episodes. We've had some avoidant women on. They're like, Adam, we really need to find a better name than avoidant attachment because it's very inappropriate. And I was like, okay, survivalists. Okay, so you grew up with survivalist attachment, right? Right. Okay, survivalist attachment
on board
style.
With that, yes.
Cool, gotcha. So you grew up with survivalist attachment style. What was that like for you? Because you're supposed to be an avoidant woman. You don't exist. You're a magical unicorn.
Am I a unicorn?
You are a unicorn.
I'm a unicorn.
You are. Yeah, we got to let you fly. What was it like growing up as an avoidant woman?
So I was very encouraged to be strong and to not be emotional, to be a leader as well. Some of this I think has to do with my family values and what I was taught about my family culture and the image that my family has. To be leaders, to be strong, to be aggressive.
I'm thinking of like Game of Thrones, like Lannister House or something like that.
Yeah.
We're getting there?
Yeah, like we're ruthless. Like we're okay. I'm not going to say my last name, but we're my last name.
Okay.
Well, I guess I could say my last name.
Whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. You guys have my last name's already out there.
Did you have a house banner? Did you have like a banner? Like
Oh, a
crest?
Somewhere in the house.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe right outside too, by the front door.
Okay, so we got a member of the Lannisters on board
here,
you
guys.
Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you. So you grew up in a very tough environment, leadership, don't show feelings, don't show emotions.
Right.
That's probably
and how that message was relayed.
Probably been challenging as a woman growing up in that energy. Have you been in your masculine energy largely, feminine energy? What would you say?
What do you think?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me? I'm not gonna pre-label you. You're a survivalist. You're a tough survivalist. What was it like for you?
So I have been very masculine for a lot of my life. I actually, since childhood, have been really torn between masculine and feminine. My mother presents more feminine. And my father is very masculine. And when I say presents more feminine, I just mean she likes pink. She's the girly girl, but she's also a workhorse.
Wow.
So she would encourage me to be girly and feminine and to wear pink. And then my father was like, you're going to hunt, you're going to kill, you're going to eat a deer's heart. Like, you're going to steamroll over other women, basically. And so I was constantly in this being pulled between masculine and feminine. And I would actually present that way too. Like I would dress pink like my mother throughout high school or all up through high school, pink like my mother. And then I was like the strongest girl on all of my sports teams and most aggressive on all of my sports teams.
Amazing.
Yes.
I need to introduce you to my wife. You guys would get along.
Really?
She tells the story when she was 12, her dad made her hike down into a valley with a black powder rifle, single shot.
Yeah.
Like she found a deer, it charged at her, ready to kill her. She had to like shoot it and kill it.
It
fell dead at her. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
And we have its antlers mounted in our house. We have many of her hunting trophies. I think you guys would get along.
We probably would.
Now that I think about it, you'd probably kill something to bond over it. Probably.
That sounds great.
It's probably what
I
you
would
would
love
do.
that.
Love it. Okay. So masculine energy is not a problem when it's balanced by the feminine energy. It doesn't sound like you had many opportunities for feminine energy when you were young.
Right. I actually don't think that I knew how to access feminine energy.
Ooh.
Like I had a costume of femininity. I think that's my sense of myself when I was younger. That I knew how to appear that way at times, but when it came to relationship, I was always more masculine, always leading and being more aggressive in general. So I think it took me a while to really make contact with feminine energy. And once I did, I kind of went quite full force into it. I found it through meditation, actually, my meditation practice. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I became, I actually kind of wonder if it was truly feminine because I was very obsessed with meditation and very diligent, doing it all the time to access the parasympathetic, which now I know it's the parasympathetic.
Flood with serotonin.
Flood with serotonin, just be in bliss. I went too far in that journey. And then
What
I
does
lost
too far look like?
Too far with meditation.
I don't think I've ever been too far with meditation. Are we like locked in a pod for 6 days? Like,
well, I wouldn't say necessarily too far for a meditation session, but in a period of life, too much meditation.
Too much time spent alone, just like addicted to it.
I mean, I had a lot of people in my life, but yes, addicted to meditation, super dependent on it. Multiple times throughout the day, doing it throughout the day. When I'm like in like massive lecture halls at my university.
Got it. A lot of avoidant people fall into this trap because they're trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel to get what scraps of serotonin they can get. They're at the gym like 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm a wreck if I don't get my 3 hours of lifting.
Yeah. And so that actually ended up leading to quite an extreme place for me, I think, where so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I was conditioned in childhood to really avoid negative feelings, to be a very positive family, even though aggression was praised.
Okay.
Aggression is praised, but like really we don't feel weak was the mantra. We're not weak, we're strong. We don't feel many feelings unless they're positive or aggressive.
Got it.
And then so later I'm using meditation to really access like this all the serotonin and like bliss and some grandiosity. I'll say that was there too. Some grandiosity. I'm great because I meditate. And that combined with my history of avoiding negative affect, negative feelings, ended up taking me to a place in my life where it was finally time for me to feel bad feelings, and my system did not know how to go there. And it was just it just resulted in high stress in my nervous system, and I could no longer access the parasympathetic. It was completely gone. I forgot how to be there entirely.
How the hell did you come back from that? What brought you back? She got to put her cup down for that one.
Like, what did bring me back? I don't know. It took a lot of time. It really did take a lot of time.
Just kind of had to claw your way out?
I had to claw my way out. Yep. I white knuckled through it the whole time. Experiencing multiple losses throughout, just compounding stress and processes that I was not feeling and didn't know how to feel. Yeah. So that resulted in weird experiences.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
During my process of fixing my attachment, I had to white knuckle it.
Yeah.
There was 14 major deaths that all happened within a span of a few years inside my life.
Yeah. Wow.
Same thing.
So we're trauma bonding right now.
A little bit.
I had 4. I lost 4 in a year.
4 is hard. That's very hard. Yep. Very hard.
Same group. Yeah. Very hard.
You kind of have to white knuckle it and get through it, but I think that's what leads people like you and me to do this work, where we don't want other people to do it alone.
Yes. And I think actually my work is some of what got me through it. So I just began studying, and then I went to grad school, and I was a part of community and began actually opening up about it. I was compelled to open up about it because I had just been through so much insane trauma. Sometimes that's the response. I need to dump this. I need to open up about this. And so that's what I was doing in community. But fortunately, it was a community of people that could hold it, that cared, that were also on their own development journeys, because we were all training to understand psychology.
A lot of women hold that pain for so long. And when they reach a place where it's safe, even if they don't know it's safe or feel it's safe, they reach a place where human beings around them can at least hold that space. It starts popping out of them like weeds pushing through concrete.
Yeah. I think it was because other people were opening up. I was in a culture where everybody was just being vulnerable and valuing vulnerability. And so it's like everybody's weird analogy. So everybody's pulling their pants down. That's super weird to say, but like everybody's exposing themselves. So I must be okay to do the same. So I think I found myself in the right community.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
From that, you have learned compassion for the people who go through this. You've learned how to help people.
Totally.
You and I together are partnering up. We're helping 1 billion people around the world fix that attachment so they don't have to white knuckle it.
Yeah.
They don't have to suffer the way you and I have suffered. It's amazing.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were white knuckling. How long was that for you?
Since the day I was born. I don't really know how to say it in a nicer way than that. Since the day I was born. Up until I was about 21, 22, I would say. Up until about then.
Yeah.
It got to a really hard journey. I found myself, at the time, I was very anti-Catholic. I found myself wandering into a Catholic church and not fully sober. And I had an experience where I was like, well, this can't be all there is, so maybe there's more than this. And had a bit of a religious moment in there. Did not become Catholic at the time for a variety of reasons, but really just determined that I had been looking for the wrong kind of people in my life. Really, because I had been trying, like I said, my journey had been share what I wouldn't share, and anything that scares me, do it, and then do the opposite of whatever I was doing. And the people around me were not receiving that well. And the feedback I got was not that I was doing the wrong thing. The feedback I got was I'm around the wrong people who are not receiving this well. I need to find people that will receive well. So I started filling my life with people who would receive information properly and then call me to proper action instead.
What do you think? So that coping mechanism of like, I'm going to do everything I don't want to do. I'm going to be everything that I like. That was. I'm not going to be what my family was. I'm not going to be what these experiences were. Where would you categorize that for attachment? Those narratives, those cognitions.
Like, what was I?
Yeah.
What was I? Well, typically I tell people that I was anxiously attached. I actually was disorganized attachment.
That's what I was wondering.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had a pretty hard avoidant core weight on the inside, mostly anxious on the outside. Yeah. Which was most of my presentation, which is why I tell people I was mostly anxious, but disorganized down with pretty significant compounded multiple traumas. Fun journey.
Very fun journey.
Same with you, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not exactly the same, but yes.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, we've had journeys.
We all are called to this. And I'd love to dive into this because people are hearing this and they're like, yet another wounded healer who thinks they're going to help people. Boo freaking who, number one. And man, every therapist is messed up. And every psychology person is messed up and is a joke. Yeah. Now, I know that...
True. We are painting that picture.
Well, I know that a lot of people who are helpers do not do their work. They do not improve themselves. Yeah. They just get to a point where they're like, oh, I want to help people. I'll cover everything up by helping other people and make everything better. I went through, and I'll tell you, I'm going to ask you in a minute, I went through extensive years of not only therapy, but then religious work with priests, with pastors. Yeah. I did personal work with mentors and coaches. Yep. I had so many mentors that guided me through. And I again and again ripped myself open in front of them, exposed my weaknesses, asked for help, built and changed myself over at least 15 years of doing this work. It was savage from 22 up to 37.
It was savage.
It was savage. It was like, will it ever end? Like it was brutal, but it was so worth it because I wanted to make sure never would there ever be a moment where, number one, I would betray that trust that people have put in me. I would betray the trust that people out there right now are putting in me when they listen to me. I didn't want to get to a place where they're like, oh, Adam's scandal of blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Like the biggest scandal is that, I eat too many chili dogs or something like that. I'm losing that weight, guys, I swear. But I wanted to get to a place where I was worthy of that trust, but I also didn't want to hurt somebody in a session. Right. I did not want to reach that place. We have that responsibility. We have that absolute sanctity of that responsibility that is demanded of us. So that's been my journey of healing. I know that you have done extensive work because when I hired you, I said I will not have any wounded healers on my staff whatsoever. These people are trusting me. I need to know I can trust you too. Yeah. What has been your journey of improving yourself beyond what most people do? Given that most people do nothing.
Right. So what's interesting is that when you train to become a therapist, you are put through, and not in every school, but I was put through my own therapy. I had to go through it.
My school made me too. Most schools
Yes.
do not.
And what's more interesting is that most schools do not require that you are going through your own developmental process throughout it. The school I went to, fortunately, forced us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a highly self-reflective institution, which makes it different from many in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So as I went through university and through grad school, I was churning through my own emotional, psychological content in order to understand where am I even leading people. And the school encouraged me to do that and encouraged all students to do that. So that was a big part of my journey.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
How many years did you spend reprogramming yourself so that people at home can have an understanding?
Years programming myself.
Reprogramming
so many.
yourself.
It wasn't all just through school.
Right.
It was before school. It was after school. Whether that was just through my own studies or through actual therapies that I was experiencing and exploring. Yes.
And it continues today,
a lot.
right?
So I'm literally constantly developing. I feel like
even today.
I know about both of us that we process so much. We think so much about life and about ourselves. So we are constantly churning content and processes. It's a constant development.
And I drag you and Jeremy every single weekend.
Yeah.
And I say like, how you guys doing?
Yeah.
And where are you at? And I've made you guys go through an emotional meat grinder working with me so that I could work on that.
It's important. And a lot of therapists don't get that. They're not encouraged to self-reflect. And so then they come out the other end weird and not human and fake.
So I'm a big advocate for thinking about Roman history. As the meme says on the internet.
He's one of those.
And there's a practice that when somebody, a winning general would ride into Rome, he would have somebody riding with him that would whisper in his ear, remember death, memento mori, memento mori. Remember that you are going to die. And the idea was that as you are receiving your accolades, you're being reminded that you're mortal and you're going to die and you're going to go before Caesar and you should humble yourself. And the idea was at your moment of greatest triumph, remember that you are nothing more than dust. And that's something I've tried to.
Dust.
Gently.
Did that feel good?
Gently
Dust?
instill in you and Jeremy, as you guys have come to work with me, and I will do in all my coaches, is breaking you guys down and continuing doing this work. I grind you guys down every single week.
Grinding us down.
Correct. Yeah, in a good way. Of challenging your emotions, challenging your feelings. And I try to do that myself. I have a meeting once a week with my buddy Andre, who reminds me, he asked me questions like, how are you going to screw up this week? What do you think you're going to do wrong this week? And lovingly, he says, he asks, like, where do you see your failing points? Where do you see that you're going to get things wrong? Where do you perceive that you might fall short? And then how can we plan in healthy ways for that? He reminds me of that. Memento mori.
Assess your risks.
Memento mori, assess your risk. He does it in a good way that's very helpful to me.
Yeah.
And it does remind me like, okay, keep track of my risks. So I think that that's a crucial part of the ongoing process for a therapist or for a coach in this case. People love to hear the story on the front end about attachment specialist Adam and how he's now what do they call me? The teddy bear of the internet. And I hear that a lot. And they do. I hear that quite a bit. And none of this is fake. It's just people don't really want to see how the sausage is made. People really don't want to hear about the back end.
That it takes a lot for people to get to a place where they can help others.
And I don't want to reach a place where I'm demonizing anyone from my past or anybody else. My journey has been my own. My mistakes have been my own. My decisions have been my own. My poor choices have certainly been my own.
Even as a child?
Even as a child.
You're taking full responsibility for your childhood?
No, but but my journey has been my own. I can't give responsibility to anybody else for where I've been today as an adult.
As an adult.
So I've certainly reached a place where all of that, not only has that been alchemized into a desire and a craving and an abundance of desire for life and love, but I've turned that around to try to raise my children to understand what it's like to not have that. I want them to understand what it's like not to have that intimacy so that they can enjoy it. Hey guys, just pause for a second. I know that here on this program, we talk a lot about attachment issues and about fixing them and how great that feels. But I know that a lot of you in the comment sections have told me that you feel overwhelmed and intimidated at the idea of trying to go through and fix your attachment challenges. Some of you are in relationships and you don't know how to help your partner repair their attachment, share their feelings, and be more connected to you in a productive and loving way. For those of you out there who are struggling, I want you to know that we offer a special program designed to work with you on a strict schedule, even if you only have an hour a week. The Attachment Repair Program is designed to help us, all of us certified attachment specialists inside the program, walk with you through your journey on a measured step-by-step process for fixing your attachment issues. This is great for individuals or for couples who are wanting to overcome their attachment issues and never be haunted by those problems ever again. So if you're afraid of rejection, if it's hard to share your needs, and if you're feeling stuck and nothing else has worked, join the Attachment Repair Program today, and let's work together on building a great relationship for the rest of your life.
What do you fear from your history? Like, what from your history do you fear may negatively impact your children?
The things that I don't know that I don't know. The things I don't know to say to them. The things I don't know to share with them. The things that I don't know to offer so that they can be stronger than I am, healthier than I am.
The unknown.
The unknown. I watch so many of my clients stumble through and they don't know to hug their kids. They don't know to comfort their kids. What don't I know? That's my question at the end of the day. What don't I know?
What's your sense of what you don't know? Do you have a sense?
I hunt every single day on the internet to try to find what I don't know. I follow Alyssa Chan. She's a smaller creator right now, but she teaches attachment parenting in particular. I follow her. I love following the big dad accounts and really holding myself accountable. I have weekly check-ins with my buddy Andre, my avoidant friend Andre, who holds me accountable and says, Adam, where are you screwing up? And he doesn't do it in a mean way. He does it in a way that's like, where are you screwing up? Because you are screwing up somewhere, and you don't have to be mad at yourself. Just where are you screwing up, and what are you going to do about it? And it's that continuous growth and check-in that really holds me accountable. Because whatever I don't know, okay, what am I doing about that? It's not enough to sit and wallow in your fear and be pathetic. It's getting up and doing something about it. And there's my avoidance side coming up right there.
So in what ways have you seen yourself causing negative impact similar to your parents? And then what have you done about it?
That's a good question. I won't say that I've caused negative impact similar to my parents.
There's no parallels. Nothing you could draw back.
Nothing about my parents. I have nothing to say on that topic. Okay. But I will say that where I find myself not being a proper father in certain areas with my children is the times that I am most stressed and I convince myself I don't have time to deal with this right now.
Okay. It's like urgency.
It's the moment where I say, I don't have time to deal with this feeling right now, so I will pause this feeling. And I tell the kid, like, look, kid, and I try to do this it's few as far between. Look, like, I understand where you're at right now. Let's come back to this in a moment. And they don't have a moment because they're 4.
That is their moment.
They're 4.
Yeah,
right?
That's all that exists. Yeah.
And it's very rare this has ever happened, but I'm so deeply ashamed of those few moments where that has ever happened. Where I'm like, okay, kid, pause. I got to come back to this. And they're like, and I see that look on their face and I go,
attachment pain.
In
my face.
And I drop to the floor, like on my knees, and I just hug that kid. And I'm like, kid, I'm sorry. Like, cool. Okay. Let's do what we got to do right now.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
For you to let that guard down.
And I just let whatever meeting or anything I had scheduled at that time, like, I got 5 minutes. I got 10 minutes. Like, that's dead to me.
Why do you think it takes seeing their pain to let your wall down?
Growing up, I was not really trained properly for a variety of reasons to see myself as a human being and to invest in myself properly. And I think that's most people with attachment issues for a variety of reasons. It is what it is, but I was not properly trained to see myself as a human being. So doing things for my own pleasure has never appealed to me.
If not human, then what?
Machine. Livestock. plow horse.
Right.
That was really it. Exist to exist. There's a line in the old Charlton Heston movie, Ben-Hur, you are alive, you exist to serve this ship, number 47. So row well and live is the answer. And that's really where row. That's really the answer I think that I and many other people fall into with attachment.
Yeah.
I will say this. Men do cry, but there is a well-known phenomenon that men don't die while somebody's in the room. Most men won't die while someone's sitting by their bedside.
Yeah.
Most men will die in the middle of the bed, in the middle of the night in a hospital when no one else is there. It's the same thing with crying. Most men will cry alone in a car. They'll cry in an empty room. They'll cry in a shower. They will not cry while another human being is around.
I'm not sure you're that rigid, though.
Think so?
I don't think so.
Cool. Try me.
I think you're actually quite attuned emotionally, sensitive. Yes, you have walls, but the way I experience you in relationship is as though you're very caring, you're very compassionate, you're very connected to emotions. So it's hard for me to fully believe what you're saying right now.
Cool. I appreciate that. That's a kind compliment. I would love to hear from you, though. What was it that made you confident enough? And I know the audience is getting whiplash from this transition. Guys, I apologize, but I am very curious, honestly, about this with Alyssa. And this is a very personal conversation between myself and my coach, and I'm glad you're along for the ride, so thank you. But Alyssa, what was it that made you finally pull the trigger to jump out of therapy and come join me? Because, right, they scare us. They scare us. Your license is everything. Your board feeds you. Without them, you are scum. Here's the worms in the dirt. Here's the dirt. Here's the worm poop. And here's you below that, right? And your licensing board allows you to graciously live. And your licensing board is God. And that's what they tell you. And you left that behind to come join me. And I'm honored, but I'm curious, what was it that made you pull the trigger and believe that this was actually the place for you? That I wouldn't lead you to disaster.
Well, it was a huge risk.
Yeah.
Big risk to leave the field. That field wasn't enough for me. I felt too confined by the regulations, and I felt isolated and unable to expand my practice and the work that I was doing. I felt very just, tight and confined in what I was doing. And
what was it about the licensing boards and their control that made you feel, or even just the field of psychology, that made you feel like you couldn't do the work you wanted to do? You couldn't help people the way you wanted to help them. What made you feel stifled?
Well, what's interesting is that, what is it exactly? I mean, it's just knowing that I am held to a certain standard governed by the state, and that at any time, anyone could make a complaint on that. There was a governing body, an authority that I felt was arbitrary. And at any time, that could be threatened, and I could lose my profession.
True. Now, arguably, that hasn't changed, quote unquote, because I'm still the governing board, Adam Lane Smith.
Now it's you.
Now it's, and they're still there.
Right, but you are not arbitrary to me.
Fair.
I understand, and I'm more close to you than I am the governing board for my state department.
Sure.
Don't even know who those people are and who all of those decisions who make. I don't even know. I'm so far removed that it's hard to actually trust that I will be protected. Because I don't think that's the interest they have anyway.
Right.
So with you, I know you, and we've built a level of trust. I understand your philosophy on life. I understand some of the ways that you make decisions. Your decision making is predictable to me, and that feels very safe to me.
There's a famous line from Mel Gibson's film, The Patriot, where he stands up and he's actually opposed to American independence from the British. It's one of my favorite films. His child dies, as you asked me earlier. His child dies and he watches them die. At least one kid dies. I think two, if I remember right. It makes me cry watching that film. So if you ever want me to actually cry, just put on that film. But he asks a good question there. He says, why should I trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 1,000 tyrants a mile away? Why did you trade those tyrants, all that weighs for me, a tyrant, essentially, being this close. You said it's intimacy, it's connectedness. What is it about our relationship that makes you trust me more than a licensing board?
Well, one, I haven't talked to them.
Cool.
I don't even know who they are.
So personal connection.
So I know you. I know your face.
Okay.
I've talked to you. More than that, but that even just those items, I know you. I've seen your face and I've talked to you is more than the licensing board.
That's true.
That's deeper level of intimacy, and it's not even that deep of an intimacy. But
that's true. So it's not bureaucratic.
Right. Well, I sense that you trust me too. Like I feel like you trust me and my judgment, whereas that was not provided to me in that field. I felt as though it was not given. How could it be given? They don't know me. Mm-hmm. I'm just a number.
I see.
So how could they trust my judgment and my clinical expertise in the direction that I would like to take my clients in?
So direct connection and trust is big for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a very feminine perspective, actually, which is interesting. It's a smart perspective. It's a very feminine perspective, though, of I want to be intimately connected to the person who is guiding me, who is making the decisions over me.
There's less risk.
Yeah.
You've showed me your vulnerability.
There we go.
I showed you mine.
There we go. That's an interesting parallel for the women at home. A lot of them are struggling with the idea of trusting a man, being connected with a man. Mm-hmm. Ties right back into your work of masculine and feminine.
Right.
I know that a lot of your work revolves around helping a woman really, I don't want to say submit, but I do want to say submit into a loving intimacy. You roll your eyes. I saw that. I
did roll my eyes, and it's maybe that's my avoidant attachment, but also it's that word is weaponized, and it's easy to misunderstand, I think, exactly what we mean when we say that.
Weaponized by whom? Who weaponizes that word? I can think of two groups who weaponize that word, but tell me what you think.
The red pill community.
Okay, that's one.
And the feminist community.
Yes, that's the other. See, we're on the same.
Ding.
We're on the same. I see it.
So it's been weaponized, and so when we say submit, we don't mean passively just being a dead,
oh God, no,
like limp thing, just submitting to a man because that's what you think you should do.
No, God, no.
Not at all that.
Passive submission is useless. It is not submission.
It's not attractive.
It's death.
It's not attractive to an actual securely attached masculine man either. No. It's completely unattractive.
Passive submission is useless.
That only attracts manipulators.
Active submission is everything.
Yeah, right. That I'm choosing to respect you give you, and yes.
What does active submission look like from a woman? To you, as an avoidant woman who submission is probably has felt like death at times, and I'll dig on that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Submission feels like death. What does active submission to a man look like to you?
So active submission first looks like knowing that you can trust the man that you're wanting to be in relationship with romantically or in any way, because I think there's that dynamic appears in many types of relationships. So it doesn't have to just be romantic, but that there's a level of trust first.
Trusting him to do what?
Trusting his decision-making. Ooh. Like I said earlier, I can predict your decision-making. I understand that you're relatively consistent. Most of the leaders on this team are consistent with their decision-making. I can predict their decisions for them.
Yeah.
I can predict their decisions for the most part. But.
And if you ever can't, you have the room to ask about it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's trust. There's respect of decision-making. And there is a comfortability with being honest and transparent and knowing that I can seek context if I need it.
Okay.
So those three things are the first things that I'm thinking of before submitting.
None of those involve any level of control from the woman's perspective, which is fascinating.
No, it's an assessment.
Most people think women need control, and none of that. Even as an avoidant woman, you're not seeking control.
No, well, I'm not as avoidant as I used to be.
Cool.
So I think these things that I'm describing are actually closer to a securely attached feminine woman.
I would say, yeah, that's a fair indication. You're not an avoidant woman. You're a prior avoidant woman.
Yeah, I used to be.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I'm more secure now. So I do all of these assessments before I actually will become loyal to a man.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Every time you've had a challenge with me, you've come directly to me and had a conversation about it. You've never acted avoidant. You just have The helpful avoidant tendencies. They're there. The risk assessment focus, which you bring risks straight to me. I love that.
Well, yeah. So we described all of those things are required and are the healthy assessments to make before submitting to a man. You do not just owe that to any man. You have to know that you can trust him, that his decision making is respectable, and that you can be honest and he can be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And then you can enter into that type of dynamic with him where it's more feminine, masculine. You can submit to his leadership because he's good.
He's worthy of it.
He's worthy of that. Right. Does your wife submit to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Say more.
Unreservedly.
Say more. That sounds also, just saying, very attractive. The dynamic is very interesting when that happens.
Yeah. So when I met my wife, she was punching men in the face and sending them to the hospital for getting fresh with her. She also had taxidermy trophies from her hunting practice. And when I met her, I had to beat her in a fight to prove that I was tougher than her and could actually best her in combat.
What attracted you to her with that?
She was fucking hot.
That was hot to you, that yes. She was strong and like beefy?
Because I knew that no man was going to come along and steal her from me.
Yeah.
I knew that no man was going to be smarter than that and outwit her. I knew that no man could trick her into cheating on me.
That she's not a doormat.
She was not a doormat. And at the same time, her religious obsession with God meant that I did not have to police her into the ground to be loyal to me, that she would be loyal to God first, and that would create loyalty to me.
So how did you know that if she was so boundaried and so strong, how did you know that she could also submit to you and be feminine?
It took time.
Did she have to work on it?
She had to work on it.
Did you help her work on it?
I did indeed help her work on it.
That's actually really important information for men to have. How do you actually support a woman in feeling safe to submit?
I had to be patient with her over time. I had to have conversations with her. When she would not submit, I'd have to talk with her about it and say, look, you agreed to this. I need to get on board, but why are you not on board yet? What are your observations? What are your concerns? What are your objections? Let's resolve them piece by piece. I worked with her patiently, lovingly, and had those conversations with her. I also, when she was way out of line, would tell her, you are way out of line right here.
That's literally the phrase you would use, is like, you're way out of line. You're not in your role.
This is unacceptable. You are way out of line. And for us to build this together, I need you to get back on line.
For example,
like things that she did out of alignment.
It doesn't have to be exactly to her, but like what's a way that a woman would test that? And
one big thing is telling a man he's working too much. Quite honestly, because yes, men can work too much.
Okay.
But getting to a place where you are working to provide for our family versus I would like to spend more time with you, building that balance together as a family is very big. A lot of women just whine and complain that a man is
complain, criticize, blame.
Criticize, whine, complain. You don't care about our family. And the man will say, I am working myself to death for our family. Now, is it possible he's a workaholic? It's possible. Is it possible he's going through a season where he needs to work that hard? It's also possible that. They need to have an honest conversation. My wife, at the beginning of our relationship, might have come to me more harshly. Now she comes to me with questions. Now she comes to me and says, tell me more about this. What's going on?
She respects you more.
She damn well does respect me.
What changed?
I earned it.
How?
Facing the challenges with her, being honest with her, facing her criticism, going into front of the firing squad with her, having those conversations again and again and not being an asshole about it, and being willing to answer her questions point blank about things.
So if she were in your past to be highly critical and blaming and attacking you for something she didn't like, how would you respond that would guide her to respect you again?
I cannot work properly under these conversations and under these behaviors. For us to make this work, I need you to get back in line so that I can take care of us. I'm willing to give everything I have to take care of our family, but I need to have your trust and respect. Where are we out of alignment?
And I already hear back in line triggering many women.
Sure.
Why did that work for her? Why did that phrase work?
Because she was looking for a man who was willing to take charge and actually take the front load of everything. She did not want to take the front load. Look, she was valedictorian at her high school.
Ah, that makes sense.
She got a full ride free scholarship for 4 years to Harvard Business because she was so smart. She turned it down to marry me, of all things. And she then opened her own business and thrived and was successful even without that. and helped me get through my graduate program by earning more money than I did during that time, which a lot of men think, they feel like that makes them have a small dick. No, she helped me get through that program, and then I retired her from work so she could be a stay-at-home mom by me working harder. We have taken turns working hard and diligently in that way, but we've communicated all the time.
How did you manage that when she was bringing in the money? Like masculine, feminine instincts wise.
What?
How did you manage the dynamic of masculine and feminine instincts if she was bringing in most of the money? How did you guys correct for that? Or were you not really there yet?
No, because when you're the CEO, you're not bringing in any money at all. A CEO brings in no money whatsoever. Departments bring in money. VPs bring in money. The departments bring in cash, and it doesn't make them the CEO. Just because your wife is making more money than you does not make her the man of the relationship unless you let it.
Right, but many people let it. So then how do you not let it?
Because they're weak.
Because they're weak.
Because they equate their exact paycheck with their masculinity.
So what can they do?
Stop being
more.
Quite honestly, they need to understand that masculinity is about taking a role of leadership in a relationship where you are a servant leader to your family without being anybody's patsy. And you need to serve your wife and your family from a position of authority. I don't serve my wife because she's stronger than me. I don't serve my wife because I'm afraid of her. And I certainly don't collapse into her approval. I serve my wife because I am the strongest man and I'm ready to serve her in the way that she needs. I am the master in the relationship, and she is submissive to me, but she is not a slave in our relationship, and she's not silent. She can get in front of me if I have a bad day where I'm acting badly. She grabs me by the nose and shakes me and tells me what to do and says, get back on track, because I also have a track. She doesn't just have a track. I have a track.
So then how does she check you? What does she
right
say?
There. She's in front of me. She grabs my nose.
That's the only way?
And she says, Adam, you are being rude. Actually, what she says is you're being a Mr. Grumpy Pants.
Cute.
You're being a Mr. Grumpy Pants.
That's cute. I see what she did there.
And I don't like it. And I need you to check yourself before you mess something up.
And
I want her to do that. I do not want a doormat who sits there and does nothing.
And it still seems somewhat feminine to do that.
Powerfully feminine.
Yeah. She's not attacking you. She's not trying to.
Nope. She drops the handkerchief. I pick it up. That is her job. That is her job. And I have given her full permission.
She says, I don't like this.
Nope. I've said, please, you must tell me or you are failing me as a wife.
But the way she does it is not, you suck, you're doing it wrong.
Nope.
It's, I don't like what's happening.
What's happening is opposed to our mission and you are failing as a husband. Get your shit together. That is her job.
You're failing as a husband? Does that make you feel more masculine when she says that?
It makes me grow some pretty powerful cojones, so I stand up and get my job done. I want my wife to challenge me. I don't want a weak wife.
So it does make you feel more masculine? Or
yes.
It inspires you to become more masculine?
It inspires me to become more masculine. I am as masculine as I am, and I have 5 kids because of my wife.
So I imagine many women could hear this and think that you just need to tell a man how you feel, however you want to tell him, so that he knows that you don't like it.
No, my wife doesn't do that.
Okay. So how could they?
She is entirely mission-focused, not feelings-focused. Her feelings, and I'm not going to say don't matter, but her feelings are useful and subverted to the mission. Our mission is everything. Our mission of raising a healthy family, living to be pleasing to God, and helping 1 billion people with their secure attachment.
Yeah. Does this help with attraction?
Oh, God, yes.
You think so?
Oh, God, yes.
How?
Because I am living so entirely inside of my mission that when she sees me, she tries to conceive child number 6.
When she sees you in your mission?
In my mission.
What about the moments where she may be trying to control you?
Tell me more. Why do you think she's trying to control me?
Does it feel that way to you? Does it feel like she's trying to get outcomes or control you?
The few times where she gets to a place where she's maybe emotionally upset, where she might be trying to do that, I just tell her that she's trying to do that.
Okay, got it. So you guys have a shared language around that.
Oh, God, yes. I just say, babe, it seems like you're a little bit out of whack right now. What's going on? What do you need from me and how can I help you? And I am her servant leadership.
But otherwise, when she's coming from a more securely attached feminine place,
then I listen
she is coming from a place of, can you please help? This sucks.
Only then do I really listen to her, yes.
So she's not coming from securely attached, can you help me with this? Can you help us with this?
Mm-hmm. If she's not
then
coming
you don't
from securely
listen
attached,
because you don't feel respected.
Then I help her get to a place where she's securely attached again.
You don't listen right away until she becomes securely attached, feminine, respecting you.
If she's massively dysregulated, I help her. I hear that that's the problem. I help her get regulated. Only when she's regulated do I take her advice. I will not listen to her advice unless she's regulated. And no man out there should listen to an unregulated woman because she will destroy both of you.
Sorry, ladies.
They know it too.
It's true. It's true. If you really want a securely attached dynamic that is in alignment with the masculine feminine instincts, it's true.
No healthy woman wants her feelings to rule her life or a relationship. She wants salvation from her feelings. And a healthy man saves her from her feelings.
Totally. And often we don't know how to do that because we were not often we're not shown healthy feminine communication where we were asking for guidance and support because we respect the man that is taking care of us.
The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Healthy femininity is the most powerful force on the planet.
Yeah.
It's stronger than masculinity.
I agree. I want every woman to have it too.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good. It's so good.
There's a saying from the Big Fat Greek Wedding, the man is the head of the family, but the woman's the neck, and she can turn the head any way she wants. We had Homath on recently.
Yeah.
Homath was on recently, and he talked about women set the goals for men in society. Women rule the world one way or another, but women need to be aware of that. And they need to be aware that they shouldn't directly rule the world. Women should secondarily rule the world. They need to turn men in a healthy way so that men are ruling the world primary and they are ruling the world through men. Women should not directly rule the world.
By asking for guidance and support and help.
By nurturing, by advising, by caring, by facilitating, and frankly, by bringing those men into their parasympathetic nervous system. Women, the most powerful feminine power is to bring men into their parasympathetic nervous system through love, through nurturing, through sex, through everything, and to calm that instinct. But a woman living in a world without powerful masculinity is a woman living in absolute terror and pointlessness. So no, men will never go away. But yes, women do need to help men.
So whose fault is it?
The devil's. Quite frankly. Quite frankly, we're being turned against each other for nothing more than spiritual stupidity. And men and women need to come together and recognize that we are not opposing forces. We are actually complementary units designed to function together to create an amazing, incredible synergistic partnership. And that when men and women really flourish together, oh my God.
It's so good.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
Does that create utopia?
And everybody knows that there is something possible, but nobody knows how to get there.
People know how to get there.
Many people don't know how to get there.
People know how to get there. We will get them there. That's your job on my staff is helping us.
That's why we're here.
Helping us get there.
But it is true. Many people are lost.
Many people are lost indeed. Yeah. Many people are afraid to trust each other. Many women are afraid to trust men.
Right. And men trust women.
Afraid to trust women. That's exactly the process. Red pill feminism, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is get to a place where all of us can build secure attachment together and then actually have these conversations so that all women out there who want the relationship with a masculine man that we've described here today, you can have that. And the men out there who are seeking a loving, diligent, devoted wife, you can also have that and you can work together as a team. Men must be masculine, women must be feminine.
Absolutely.
There is no other answer.
That is the secure attachment.
That is secure attachment.
Love it.
Absolutely. There we go. Guys, thank you for following along with this conversation. I know it was probably deeper and darker than most of you are used to. It was probably a deeper dive into my psyche, certainly, than you're probably used to, and I apologize for that. But I hope that this guided you in a direction of maybe interpreting your own soul a little bit different. If you want to work with myself and Alyssa, she's fantastic, we have the Attachment Repair Program available on adamlanesmith.com, which will guide you through fixing your own attachment. Alyssa can help you through fixing your masculine, feminine dynamic as well. Attachment and building all of this together so that you can finally have that marriage that means as much as I have in my family together. I want you to stop for a moment and think about all the questions Alyssa asked me here today. Look at how sharp these questions were. Look at how much she tried to make me cry. But really,
we tried.
What she tried to do was take me on a journey of self-introspection so that I can improve myself.
Yeah.
What that tells me is I need to go home and hug my wife, number one. And I need to really reinvigorate my relationships with my kids to make sure that we're actually on track with everything that we're doing. So thank you for that, Alyssa. You've been very helpful here today. I appreciate that. But this is not just about investigating your past, as you saw. This is about being forward-focused. What will you do? Making those changes in your life is absolutely paramount so that you can build the respect and the love and the intimacy that you've been looking for. If you need that assistance, Alyssa is available for that. Thank you so much for joining us on I Wish You Knew. We will be back, and you can find us again on adamlanesmith.com. Please make sure you leave comments below, ask questions, tell me if you were astounded by the revelations here today. That is totally fine.
Were we too much?
Were we too much? Cry if you need to. Send me emails, whatever you've got. I know a lot of my coaching clients watch this, and you're probably watching this right now like, I need to find Adam and give him a hug. Totally fine. Much love. Leave comments, subscribe, like, make sure you turn on notifications, and we will see you again on the next episode of I Wish You Knew.